Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Sunday Night Live. Today is Sunday, May 17th, 2026, and this week we're going to do something a little bit different. Usually we're talking about hiring trends, job seekers, employers, AI, resumes, and the labor market, but today we're going to take a behind the scenes at Guhuza. I'm Mark Anthony Jackson, talent client coordinator here at Guhuza, and today I'm joined by Vansh, Guhuza's lead programmer. Vansh, thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
And before we get into the conversation, I'll let you just take some time to quickly introduce yourself, Vansh. Who are you?
Sure, sure. My name is Vansh. I'm lead software developer at Guhuza. My role focuses on technical side of the platform. This includes building features, improving existing ones, fixing issues, testing the system, making sure the platform works smoothly for job seekers. But it's not just about writing code. A big part of my role is understanding how people actually feel about the platform. How is their experience with it? Something can make sense technically, but if your user finds it confusing or it takes too many steps, that still needs improvement. So the goal is not just to build something that works. The goal is to build something that help people move through the hiring process easily.
People may think programming is just code, but with a hiring platform, you also have to think about the user experience, the workflows, and how job seekers and employers actually interact with the system as a whole. So, for anyone who may not know much about Guhuza, Guhuza is a hiring platform built to help job seekers and employers connect faster through live interviews. The traditional hiring process can be frustrating. A job seeker applies, waits, follows up, and sometimes never hears anything back. So, employers just post jobs, review resumes, and still struggle to connect with the right candidates quickly. So Guhuza is trying to reduce the waiting game. It's not just about resumes sitting in a database, it's about helping people get closer to real conversations, right, Bench?
Exactly. And from the technical side, that's what makes Guhuza interesting. A lot of hiring platforms feels passive. You upload a resume, you apply to jobs again, and you are stuck in a loop, right? You keep on applying every day. But with Guhuza, it's a little different. The goal is more active. The technology is there to help move candidates and employer toward interaction. So when we build the platform, we are not just asking how do we store the information, we are asking how does this help someone get closer to an interview?
The main goal is still the human connection at the end of the day. So, one theme we keep seeing is that hiring is becoming more technical. So, job seekers are using more tools, employers are using more platforms, recruiters are dealing with more data. AI is becoming part of resumes, screening, matching, and overall communication. But even with all this technology, people still feel disconnected. Job seekers are applying and hearing nothing. Employers are getting more resumes, but still struggling to find the right fit. So, from your side of things, Vanch, what does it mean when we keep saying hiring is becoming more technical?
Uh, I think it means the technology is now a part of every step in hiring. It's not just posting a job anymore. There are resumes, profiles, matching, dashboards, and employer tools. But technology only helps it to make the process clearer. If it adds more step or makes people confused, then it creates more friction. So from a platform side, one question is always that does this feature help the candidate or employer move forward, or it's just add complexity? A good technology should simplify the process, not make it more complicated. For Guhuza, the technology is there to support a live connection between job seeker and employer. It's not just about collecting information, it's about helping both sides get closer to a real conversation.
Yeah, and since we're talking about hiring becoming more technical, we have to talk about the big scary word AI. AI is everywhere now. Job seekers are using it to write their resumes. Employers and recruiters are using different tools to review, organize, or filter candidates. AI can be useful, but it can also create more noise. And Mark Belish and I have talked about this too. It really does create more noise sometimes. A resume can sound polished, but it does not always mean that a person can explain their experience when they get into the room. So, Vanch,
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
yeah, AI can help, but it depends how people use it. If job seeker use AI to make the resume clearer, that can be helpful. But If the resume becomes too generic or it includes things that person can't actually explain, that it creates a problem. And a fun fact that when you submit an application on these job boards, and only if your resume gets taken into account, if it's selected, an average employer takes a look at a resume for only 5 to 6 seconds. So you have to present yourself in the first 5 seconds because that's what where you leave the impression. So the resume, it should represent you because AI doesn't know more than you, right, about yourself. So from the technology side, AI should support the process, not replace the real understanding. You should be the one that carries the vision, right? So it's the same in programming. AI can suggest code, help me debug, or explain concept, but it doesn't understand what it doesn't understand the whole concept. Like I have to carry the vision, I have to be the leader of it. So whether it's resume or programming, AI should be treated as a tool, not a replacement for thinking.
Man, that's a great way to put it, especially when you're talking about programming. It still cannot replace judgment, communication, or the ability to explain what you know, right? And let's talk about the behind the scenes part of everything. So people see the front end of the platform, Guhuza. They see a button, a login page, a profile, a job, or maybe even just an interview flow. So, but they don't always see what happens behind the scenes and everything like that. So, what do people not realize about building a hiring platform, Bench?
I think people don't realize how much work goes into making something look simple. Uh, a user may only see one button, but behind that button, there can be different checks, rules, conditions, workflows that needs to happen properly. For example, when someone updates a profile or interact with a job, the system has to handle the information correctly. It has to save the right data, show the right information to the right user, and keep the experience smooth. And because we are dealing with hiring, accuracy matters a lot. We don't want confusing information, broken flows, or unclear messaging. So it needs a lot of testing um, because those things can affect someone's opportunity and or an employer's hiring process.
Oh, that's a good point there because when technology is working smoothly, people don't often think about it. But when something is confusing, slow, or they just notice that immediately.
Exactly. A good platform should feel simple, even if a lot is happening behind the scene. And sometimes the best improvement is not adding more features. Sometimes it's just making it easier, faster, or clearer for the user. It should happen as like whatever you're trying to do, it should happen within a click. So that's the ultimate aim.
One thing that makes Guhuza pretty interesting is that we have different types of users. You have the job seeker, employers, recruiters, admins, the people internally who are testing the platform as well. So when you're building and improving features, how do you think about all those different users?
Uh, you have to think about the whole workflow. If something only works well for candidate, not for employer, the process still breaks. If it only works for employers, not for candidates, then candidates may not use it properly. So we think about how one action affect the next person in the process. If a candidate fills out an information, how does that helps an employer? If an employer posts a job, how does that affects a candidate experience? If an internal team needs to support someone, can they understand what happened clearly? That's why hiring technology is more than just a database, it's more of a workflow.
It's more than a database. It's a workflow. And the workflow has to make sense for real people, not just for the system. One of the biggest things we talk about at Guhuza is speed. But speed can often be misunderstood. The goal is not just to make hiring faster for the sake of making hiring faster, but the goal is to remove the unnecessary waiting. So from a programming side, how do you interpret speed, Vansh?
Speed matters, but it has to be reliable. If something in fast, like if something is fast but confusing, or if user don't trust what is happening, then it doesn't really help. When we think about speed, we also think about clarity. Does the user know what just happened? Does they know what's the next step? Like, did the system respond properly? Is the information accurate? There are a lot of things. The goal is not to rush people through a bad process. The goal is to remove unnecessary delays, unnecessary steps, so that people can get into meaningful part faster, and that is interviews.
Hmm. Yeah, the meaningful part is the conversation. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. And that's where candidates have a chance to explain themselves. That's where employers can ask the real questions, and that's where both sides can understand if there's an actual fit. So for job seekers and employers watching this, I think there's two practical takeaways. For job seekers, technology can help you, but your information still needs to be clear. Your resume should be accurate, your profile should be complete, and if you use AI, you still need to understand everything it says about you. And for employers, technology works better when the job posting is clear. If the role is vague, unrealistic, or overloaded with requirements, right? The process becomes harder before it even starts. Would you agree with that, Bench?
Definitely, yeah. The quality of the information matters on both sides. For the job seeker, clear skills, clear experience, and a complete profile make it easier for the platform and the employer to understand where they fit. At the last, it's you that are getting hired. It's not the AI, right? For the employers, obviously clear job descriptions. Obviously, this help attract better candidates and make the hiring process smoother. So technology can support the process, but it works best when both sides give it clear, uh, give their best information.
Hmm. And another question for you, Vanch, since you're a lead programmer, developer, um, everything like that, I want to ask you about AI and programming. And a lot of people are asking whether AI will replace programmers or completely change software development. From your perspective, how do you think AI is changing programming?
AI is definitely changing the way developers work. It can help with suggestions, debugging, documentation. It can save time definitely with the repetitive task, but it does not replace understanding. It has to be the developer that carries the vision, that has the whole understanding of what we are actually trying to build. You still need to know what are you building, whether it actually works or not. You also need to know whether if in some part AI is wrong because it can give confident answers that is still need to be checked. So I see AI as a tool. It can make you a good developer. Obviously, AI is raising the bar for developers, but it's not actually replacing the developers. It has to be you that solves the problem.
Exactly. I mean, if you don't know how the problem is, if you don't understand the problem, you're just gonna start making more mistakes, right?
Exactly, exactly.
And then for students or early career people watching this, who want to get into programming or tech, what advice would you be able to give them to Vanch?
Yeah, that's a very good question, I would say. I would say go ahead and gain some real hands-on experience, build projects. Do not rely on just courses or certificates. Build something, test it, break it, fix it, and learn from that process. And I would say keep your fundamentals strong. Tools will be changing, frameworks will be changing, AI tools will change how people work, but problem solving stays the same. Logic, communication, and understanding the user will always matter. You know, it has to be you. It will be you who will be fixing the itch, right? We say it's a word, right? So I think the main thing would be how do you solve a problem? That's the main thing. If you can explain what you built, why you built it, what problem you ran into, and what are you trying to fix, if you can take over that, that's amazing. You can break into tech.
Perfect. That right there is great advice there, Vanch. And honestly, it applies to almost every field now. So having real examples of what you've done makes a big difference in the hiring process. So before we close off today, a quick reminder, every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, I host Guhuza's weekly open house. Open to job seekers, students, recruiters, employers, and anyone who wants a better understanding of the hiring process. Live now on LinkedIn Live and on Zoom. We talk about the job search and different strategies, resumes, hiring trends, live interviews, and how Guhuza works. So before closing out today, Vanch, I want to say thank you so much for joining me today.
No, thank you for having me. It was great to be here.
Hey, absolutely. And for everyone watching or listening, the big message today is hiring is becoming more technical, but human connection still matters. Technology can help make hiring faster, but real conversations are still where trust is built. And that's what Kahoot is focused on. So thank you once again for joining us today for this Sunday Night Live. Please subscribe, comment, and share if this information has been helpful for you. We'll see you again next week. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
1 second, Vanch.